Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America. Presented by Visa. Well, today's Jim Beam going to be the toughest test yet for George Steinbrenner's Concerto, whose 5th win in his last 6 starts was this romp in the Battaglia, meaning that he has a win over this racetrack. Also here, Fun on the Run and Inaccessibly Good, who muddled the Derby picture in California earlier this month when they finished 1-2 in the San Rafael at Santa Anita Park. Well, we're at Turfway Park today, where they just sprung the latch on the 10th race. Just across the Ohio River from Cincinnati on a blustery Saturday afternoon, the sun peeking in and out of the clouds, and behind the big grandstand here, heavy rains overnight. Muddy track as we started the day, then upgraded to good, and it's fast now, and I mean track record fast. Hi, everybody, I'm Dave Johnson. Kate and Brader and Tom Durkin are also here. Chris Lincoln is in Dubai, where the $4 million Dubai World Cup was, well, it was washed away for the time being. We'll have further news from the Sandy Peninsula via satellite shortly. But our focus today is Kentucky, and we're going to be looking at 2 other stakes on the card here at Turfway, and also the Gotham from Aqueduct. But the main event is the Jim Beam. Let's take a look at the conditions for the big one this afternoon. It's exclusively for 3-year-olds. All of them carry 121 pounds. At 1 1/8 miles, it's a Grade 2 event with a purse of $600,000. Just 5 weeks to the 1.25 mile Kentucky Derby in Louisville. Caton Brader has joined us here. Caton, most of the serious Kentucky Derby candidates have just 1 start before the Kentucky Derby. So where does that put the Jim Beam in the Derby picture?
Well, it fits in perfectly as one of the toughest distances at 1 1/8 miles to test a horse, with ample time before the Kentucky Derby to rest up. 5 weeks, enough time to either take a break or come back to competition. And most of our successful Jim Beam runners in the Triple Crown have done just that. They've had a race after the Beam prior to the Kentucky Derby. So in terms of positioning, distance, and purse money, it's ideal.
Well, with Pulpit being beaten in the Florida Derby, we have semi-chaos in the 3-year-old ranks. Part of the reason that 11 were entered, we've had a scratch. Caton, who is here today?
Well, the scratch is on the rail on the inside. Celtic Warrior scratched just a few moments ago. 2, Hoxie is a speedball invading from New York. Twin Spires is one of 2 Dwayne Lucas runners in the field. A long shot with Donna Barton up. Air Cool, another long shot, ships in from Toronto with Toronto-based Robin Platts up. Then there's the winner of the San Rafael, Fun on the Run in from California. Concerto is our morning line favorite, winner of the Battaglia here at Turfway with his regular rider, Carlos Marquez Jr. Next, a pair of runners for Nick Zito, the late-running Jack Flash and the lightly raced Chammy Davis with a new rider, Herb Alpert. Second Lucas runner is Mercer Mill. Then there's the San Rafael runner-up, Inaccessibly Good with Hall of Famer Chris McCarron. And on the outside, looking for his first win of the year, Jules with Jose Santos.
Well, on the human side, trainers are trying to decide whether it's worth the wear and the tear of the Triple Crown, jumping on that road to Louisville. Jockeys are playing musical saddles, trying to line up their best possible Derby prospect.
And this race will certainly have national implications in terms of who rides who and who sends who. But keep in mind, in this big field, there's only 1 trainer and 1 jockey who've had success at the Jim Beam before. That's Dwayne Lucas and Chris McCarron. And I'm sure they're shopping for their Derby horses at this point.
So that's the early line on the Jim Beam, along with all the crowd here who bet the 10th race. Well, that was the scene. 9 time zones away. We had a little rain overnight, but nothing like that. We've got more in a report by satellite from Chris Lincoln coming up in just a few minutes. America is brought to you by Thrifty Car Rental. Best of all, it's thrifty. By Visa. It's everywhere you want to be. By Brewery Fresh Budweiser, who reminds you fresh beer tastes better. By the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. Get away from the ordinary and discover the extraordinary Las Vegas. Call your travel agent today. And by Nicoderm CQ Stop Smoking Patch. You bring a commitment, Nicoderm brings the rest. Welcome back to Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America. Presented by Visa. Well, action here on ESPN tonight. Major League Soccer at 7:30. It's the Metro Stars with Tony the Wall Miola up against Roy Lassiter and the Tampa Bay Mutiny. That's at 7:30 tonight on ESPN. Well, we had some overnight rains, but nothing like they had in the Mideast. You remember the $4 million Dubai World Cup? Last year it was the race of the year with Cigar winning in a photo finish. Well, that's another story. And with the story from 1997, here's Chris Lincoln.
The skyline of the city of Dubai, the jewel of the United Arab Emirates, and the host site for the second year of the thoroughbred race that offers the world's richest prize, $2.4 million for the $4 million Dubai World Cup. And there is the Nad Al Sheba racecourse where everything seemed in perfect order this week. Siphon, the American favorite, was here and ready to go and made the favorite by Lad Brooks. Also, Sandpit, both trained by Dick Mandela. And they were the solid choices heading into what we expected to be a dramatic race. But then this came. Unbelievable rains, starting about 2:30 local time, raining straight through, heavy, never letting up for 3 hours. Lightning flashing, and the word soon came, meeting abandoned. For the riders, they were left simply to wring out their silks, not put them on today. Disappointing for everyone, including the ladies who'd spent so many dirhams to have just the right outfit on World Cup Day. So the great racing silks of the world, like those of Sheikh Maktoum, will not be on the jockeys this afternoon. And for these folks of the desert land, not used to rain of this proportion, they were trying to get around any way they could. Then the official signal from Sheikh Mohammed himself that the day had been canceled. Richard Hills, one of their jockey champions, the United Arab Emirates, had some comments in the jock room which expressed the feelings of about everyone.
You know, that's so disappointing for everybody. I mean, what else can you do?
So those who came, and they came by the thousands for this, the Emirates' biggest day of racing, and one of the world's biggest day of racing, could only huddle under the grandstand. Many so unprepared for the deluge of rain that hit Nad Al Sheba racecourse and has postponed the Dubai World Cup. The disappointment of the riders, Jerry Bailey, of course, who had Cigar last year, turning his back right now, Joe Bravo, Carlos Arias, local rider on Key of Luck. They would pack up. There would be no racing at Nad Al Sheba on this Saturday evening. Joining me now is Dr. Michael Osborne. He is the chairman of the Dubai World Cup Committee. Crushing result.
Yes, devastating to us. We worked hard to bring this event about. We got the best horses in the world, with the best jockeys. Everything was lined up, but the heavens opened up for 3 hours. I've never seen rain like it.
I know Sheikh Mohammed met quickly with the committee, with the horsemen. Discussions were had. Another meeting is set for 10 o'clock tomorrow. These people want to race.
Yes, all of the trainers said yes, they came here to race, they're going to stay here to race, and the sooner the better. It may be Wednesday, but very likely on Thursday night. That decision will be reached tomorrow morning.
So no official decision yet, except to tell you that the Dubai World Cup second running was canceled here in Dubai this evening because of the torrential rains. It looks like the earliest possible date they could put this back on is Thursday. We'll keep you posted the official meeting tomorrow. From Nad Al Sheba, and the site of what was to have been the Dubai World Cup, I'm Chris Lincoln for ESPN.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Well, one big question is, what about the American riders who went to the Middle East for the $4 million Dubai World Cup? Well, Jerry Bailey has packed his bag. He's coming back. He has commitments here in the United States. But we have word that at this time, Joe Bravo and Corey Nakatani and David Flores are going to stay over there, keep their fingers crossed, as we all will, and hope that the big race gets finally happening on Thursday afternoon. But right now, let's turn our attention back to Kentucky and the Jim Beam Stakes. We're all waiting for the horses to come to the paddock. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Racing Across America. We're sort of a sports triangle this weekend. Of course, that Synergy Field used to be Riverfront Stadium just across from where we are, across the Ohio River in Cincinnati. And we're 71 miles from Louisville, where 5 weeks from now it's going to be the Run for the Roses, and we're 92 miles from Indianapolis, which of course is the scene of the Final Four this weekend. So a lot of action, and action here at Turfway Park besides the Jim Beam. The Rushaway, an interesting 3-year-old race earlier this afternoon.
Well, at 1 1/16, it's the perfect distance for horses, not quite up to the level of competition that the competitors in the Jim Beam are at, headed for the Triple Crown, but we've got some nice horses. We had 10 horses in the field with Tom Durkin picking up the action in the $75,000 Rushaway Stakes.
9-5 favorite was Oak Level. Annette 4-1, in CC's honor 3-1.
They're rounding the far turn, and Annette takes the lead. It's Annette in front as they hit the quarter pole, and CC's honor second on the inside by 4. Cromwell and Prairie Junction not doing enough yet. On the inside, Oak Level comes on through, and they're coming down to the last furlong, and Annette's opening up on the field, leaving CC's honor and all the rest behind. Annette with a huge effort today. This is an absolute runaway in the Rushaway. Annette wins by 8 in 1:40.3. And CC's honor was second, and Cromwell managed third.
And what about that time, 1:40.3?
A new track record for a horse that had not proven himself at this level. Annette, by Clever Trick, trained by Bob Baffert with Chris McCarron up, the team that will try to do it all again in just a little while with It's Inaccessively Good.
And there is Annette finishing, trained by Bob Baffert. Quick fractions, 22 and 3:45 and 3 and 1:09 and 4.
Just amazing. I think it bodes well for the speed horses, especially at a routed ground. We've seen speed holding up all afternoon today, Dave, and there's some fast horses in the Jim Beam, but we've got some fast fillies in the Bourbonette who took center stage at a flat mile. Another contentious group, lightly raced fillies in that one.
And of course, they're having the women's division of the NCAA Final Four here. So, yeah, let's take a look at some thoroughbred fillies here in the Bourbonette.
We pick up the action with the favorite City Band on the lead. She and Donna Barton had wasted little time going right to the front, carved out some very fast fractions, and you can see Donna Barton in the white sleeves of the Overbrook Farm trying to conserve a little bit of that energy for later on, but in the brown, Brian Peck on Buckeye Search had been saving ground and saving a little horse for just this moment.
Trained by Carl Nafsker in the colors of Darby Dan Farm, Buckeye Search has the wire measured, and City Band falls short, with Fountain Square finishing third in the 1 mile Bourbonette. Fast time 1:35. The Buckeye Search paid $7.20, with the 4 to 5 choice City Band finishing second. Well, there's a New York route to the Triple Crown, and who better to tell us about that than the voice of New York racing, who's here in Kentucky this afternoon, Tom Durkin. Tom?
Well, the Gotham Mile is a $200,000 one-turn mile, part of the 2 big races in New York. The Wood, 3 weeks hence, $500,000 at 9 furlongs. But the Gotham had a very promising field. Ordway, perhaps the most promising among them all. As a 2-year-old, he was a smashing winner in the Champagne. He went to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile as the favorite. He ran very well that day indeed. He was a closing third against the bias at Woodbine that afternoon. For that reason, a lot of folks put him on or near the top of the Triple Crown list until his lone start this year. It was dreadful. The Hutchison Stakes, he was beaten almost 20 lengths. So trainer David Donk turned his heels, went back to New York, retreated, and regrouped. Ordway and other promising horses in the Gotham this year. Let's take a look at the race in progress. In progress indeed. That's American Champ on the lead. He has just run a quarter in 21 and 2, a half in 43 and 3. And closing in, Wild Wonder and Smokin' Mel. Wild Wonder, the horse on the outside, Smokin' Mel. Smokin' Mel now has the lead. Wild Wonder is on his outside. Those 2 matching strides, and it's 5 lengths back to Ordway, who is third, as they come to mid-stretch. You will see a very tenacious Smokin' Mel. First time Lasix here, first time going long. A horse that had been running at Santa Anita will not let Wild Wonder by. In the meantime, Ordway is getting on track late. He will arrive a little short. Smokin' Mel would not let anybody by. He holds on to win by a half length. I'm not sure about his Triple Crown chances. He's got a very weak pedigree, but Ordway in the picture again. Smokin' Mel, a long price winner, $33, $11.20 and $6.20. Ordway finishing second, a good second today. He closed well. Wild Wonder finishing third. The final time there, 1:34 and 2, well off Easy Goer's record.
Thanks, Tom. Well, the Jim Beam is the longest-running corporate-sponsored horse race in America, and joining us right now is Barry Barish, chairman of Jim Beam Brands Worldwide. Congratulations, but did you ever think the Beam would be this big, Barry?
David, no. In 1982, when we started, I had no idea that it would grow into the race it is today. 16 years of sponsoring the Jim Beam Stakes has been wonderful. The track has grown. The field has got better. We are the creators of the Derby winners, we like to think. I think it's going to be a great race today. We're very happy to be part of this.
And there's more than just the race, isn't there, Barry?
Oh, there's so much more, Dave. Last night we had a country and western concert which Jim Beam has sponsored. You can see James Cameron, who was our find as a new country and western star. There's Tracy Lawrence, right? Tracy Lawrence was there, who's quite famous. It's become an event in this part of the country. It's the race. It's the night before. It's the night after. It's been wonderful. We're very happy.
Congratulations, and we're all looking forward to a great Jim Beam Stakes this afternoon.
Absolutely, Dave. Thank you very much, and I know it'll be good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barry. Well, there were a lot of celebrities at the dinner and the party last night, and Red Buttons was there with a sort of a unique way to pick a winner. Handicappers, take care.
As a matter of fact, at a Preakness with Eddie Arcaro and Howard Cosell, I was having lunch with them. They were announcing the Preakness. And I said, fellas, there's only one way to win the races. They looked at me, and exactly what I did. I shut my eyes, took a fork, and picked a winner for the next race. I mean, everybody fell apart. And I just went, keep handing over the forks, guys. That's true stories. Ask Eddie, he'll tell you.
Welcome back to Turfway Park and our presentation of the Jim Beam Stakes. Uh-oh, the boss is in the paddock. George Steinbrenner looking over his colt, Concerto, and also the competition. The Visa Championship Series, 44 stakes races for 3-year-olds to determine the Visa 3-year-old championship. Points awarded for first, second, and third place finishes. Skipaway, of course, was the Visa 3-year-old champion last year. He also won the 3-year-old Eclipse Award. So far in 1997, here they are with Confide at the top of the list. Well, Tom Durkin has a little different look at the 3-year-olds this year. Tom?
Well, with a colt called Concerto as our favorite today, we certainly can't resist the musical theme to our show. So whether your tastes run to jazz, classical, or gospel, we've got the horse right here. In Florida, since early this spring, the press has been preaching the gospel, and racing fans have been singing the praises, hallelujah, of Alpert. And he stayed near the top of the charts from the very beginning. A hotbed of alternative music is California, the land of the alternative lifestyle. And there, a filly is beginning to dominate. Wayne Lucas, as he did with Winning Colors, is looking for a gender bender in the Derby. Rock on. Meanwhile, an Eastern-based colt called Concerto has been quietly composing an impressive record. In fact, his only loss in September was against the current pop king of the 3-year-olds, Captain Bodgett, in the Laurel Futurity. Among Concerto's high notes was this snowy serenade at Aqueduct. And here at Turfway, his third straight stakes win, a 6-length virtuoso performance in the John Battaglia Memorial, despite the refrain of this sour note. An annoying habit of ducking out in the stretch. It's Herb Alpert. Yeah, the old trumpeter himself. And his brother Dave. He's a drummer. They're in the winner's circle at Santa Anita after winning with Fun on the Run. He's a lightly raced colt, so the San Rafael victory is basically a medley of his greatest hit. But for all these Derby hopefuls, no matter their individual musical taste, there's one tune they just can't get out of their heads these days.
Home, for my old Kentucky home, far away.
And there you see the twin spires of Churchill Downs, a place Herb and Dave Alpert hope to get with Fun on the Run. They join me now in the paddock, a little anxious right now. How do you go from Tijuana Brass to Cincinnati Bluegrass and Bridles?
It's quite a stretch, isn't it? We're excited, though. This is really an exciting race for us. We're really happy to be here.
This has been a lifelong interest for you.
Well, we've been racing horses for the last 20 years, and it's exciting. It's, you know, the horse loves music, likes my music, likes my new album, Passion Dance.
And I understand you like gray horses.
I like gray horses. I told Mel Studi, let's get a gray horse. Of course, I didn't tell him what kind of gray horse. I didn't tell him anything else other than, I mean, I was a big fan of Native Dancer. So I thought, well, it's gray, feels right. I go for feel.
Well, Dave, you've been involved in your brother in the music business and also in the love of horse racing. How do the two businesses compare?
This is more exciting to me. The music business is very exciting when you get hits, of course. But over the years, when we were with A&M Records, we had lots of hits. So now we're hoping to have lots of winning horses, and we have a lot of fun on the run.
Well, we hope we have a hit today in Fun on the Run and certainly some new material possibly for a new song.
I hope so. Thanks a lot.
Dave.
Thank you. Thanks, Kate. We're about 12 minutes away from post time here at the Jim Beam, so we can take a short commercial break. But let's remind you that on Wednesday, we'll catch up on the latest harness, quarter horse, and thoroughbred racing action on the Racehorse Digest. Wednesday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN. And on that show, we're going to salute the Gainsborough Owner of the Month, Prince Ahmed bin Salman. So stay with us. There's the number 6 horse, Concerto, with Carlos Marquez aboard and George Steinbrenner rooting. We'll be right back with the Beam. Welcome back. They've just called the horses to the racetrack for the post parade for today's Jim Beam. Let's take a quick look at the odds presented by Las Vegas. Celtic Warrior Scratch. Hoxie is at 50 to 1. Twin Spires at 30. Air Cool at 50. Fun on the Run 9 to 2. Concerto is the 8 to 5 choice at the present time. Jack Flash 7 to 2. Down from 8 to 1 on the morning line. Shammy Davis is up to 14. Mercer Mill at 19 and Excessively Good at 5. And Jules at 6 to 1. Let's take a look at the post parade, and when you see the K and the gavel, well, that tells you that it's a Keeneland sales horse. 3 in this field were purchased at the September 95 sale. Here is number 2, Hoxie. The owner, Robert Perez, likes to be represented in major races, but this horse, even at a big price, has a shot in here. He gave Concerto a real tussle in the Whirlaway, and that's Fabio Arguello, 26-year-old from Bogota, who's the leading rider at, who was the leading rider at Turfway 4 times. Here is the $700,000 Keeneland yearling sales purchase, Twin Spires, 4th in the El Camino Real, and 30-year-old Donna Barton, whose mother was a jockey, is aboard for this afternoon's trip. Number 4. Air Cool, away since November of '96. This Canadian bred was second in the Grade 1 Coronation Futurity last fall, and a Canadian bred is ridden by a native of England, Robin Platts, who is one of Canada's leading riders. And here is Fun on the Run, number 5. Only 4 starts, 2 wins, though. One of them is San Rafael, trained by Mel Studi, who won the '86 Preakness with Snow Chief, and Gonzalino Almeida, who won the last race at Santa Anita last night, got on the plane and wants another one here this afternoon. Concerto never off the board. 2 wins and 2 starts this year, the most money in the bank of any of the starters, first or second in 5 straight stakes races. John Tamaro trains. Carlos Marquez, top rider on the New Jersey circuit, has been aboard all 8 starts. And the late-running Jack Flash, 4th in the Florida Derby 2 weeks ago, is number 7, trained by Nick Zito. And Craig Perret, who started riding quarter horses in Louisiana at age 10 and won a Kentucky Derby on Unbridled, is in the irons today. Shammy Davis, the 8 horse, has every right to improve. Last out, he bobbled at the start and was wide. This Pennsylvania bred has Herb McCauley riding. The native from North Carolina has been riding very well over the winter in New York. And here's the 9 horse, Mercer Mill, the only horse not nominated to the Triple Crown. Racing here at Turfway Park, won an allowance last out, and Wayne Lucas is the trainer. Willie Martinez has already won 5 races on the card this afternoon. He's king of the hill here. He has dominated the current meet. 10 horse is inaccessibly good. This is Triple Crown material. Second to Fun on the Run. Last out wide the entire trip. Chris McCarron, who had a birthday on Thursday, is aboard. Hall of Famer. And 11, who drew a terrible post. Here's Jules, a speed horse who was so fast in his first race as a 2-year-old, he was scary. Second Lasix today, Santos, who's ridden him in all 6 starts and won the Eclipse Award for the top jockey of 1988, is aboard. That's the field. Let's go to Kate.
Well, Dave, you know, trainer Nick Zito is no stranger to success with 3-year-olds, and he has 2 runners in this field, Jack Flash and Shammy Davis. Both interesting possibilities. Like Dwayne Lucas, he'll try the 2-tiered approach in today's race. And we asked him the reasoning behind running 2 horses stablemates as competitors in this field.
Well, one of the reasons, you know, I'm running 2 horses is obviously the 2 different styles. I mean, Shammy likes to lay up close. Jack comes from way out of it. So they both complement each other on that aspect of it. Jack Flash, obviously, is a horse that I still believe is going forward. You know, I think, you know, the old cliche is having him right the first Saturday in May. And that's, I think, fits with Jack Flash. I think Kentucky Derby is written all over him. And one of the reasons is he's certainly a 1.25-mile horse. He's certainly a big, strong horse. He's a late developing horse. He's well bred. He's got a lot of things going for him. And I think, you know, maybe this is his time of year, and he'll start to gel. And we see a good performance in the Beam, and, you know, maybe he keep going forward. But really happy the position we're in. We have 2 nice horses, and Jack Flash obviously is a good candidate right now.
You know, Jack Flash getting a little better with each race. 5th in the Fountain of Youth Stakes, 4th in the Florida Derby. Hope he skips a few levels here, but we should see him on the Triple Crown Trail, Dave.
Great Caesar's Ghosts. Who do you pick in the Beam this year? There's so much talent in this field. Well, if you were Jimmy Olsen or Lois Lane, you might ask Superman.
Well, Superman would take the longest long shot and help him across the finish line. So that's pretty much what he would do. So I know what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is I have my pick, which I think it's going to be Concerto. I think it's going to win. But then I'm going to take the longest odds in the house. I'm going to take both. I'm going to set down some silly bets because I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. I would pick on colors or names or something. It's a horse race, you know. That's where the saying comes from. It's a horse race. Anybody can win it.
We're about 3 minutes away from the running of the Jim Beam 1997 from Turfway Park in Covington, Kentucky. If you tuned in to find out what happened in Dubai this afternoon in the $4 million race, it was washed out. They hoped to run it on Thursday, but no action from the other side of the globe. But a lot of action here, and at the Mutual windows, let's take a quick check as to who is the favorite. Hoxie at 60, Concerto at 3-2. Fun on the Run is getting some play at 4-1. Also in the contest, Lucas's other horse, Jack Flash. Zito's other horse at 4-1, Jack Flash. Shammy Davis at 15, Mercer Mill at 20, Inaccessibly Good 5, and Jules is at 6-1. Some nice prices there, and as you know, we're always looking for a nice price, especially for the Budweiser long shot. Today's Budweiser long shot is number 11, Jules, a colt who started his career with an auspicious 14-length victory at Belmont last fall. His trainer, Alan Goldberg, was among those impressed.
Well, I thought he was a good horse, and, you know, he showed we thought he was a good horse from day one. And he ran to his abilities that first race.
Jules enjoyed decent stakes success at 2 and started this year as a serious Kentucky Derby contender. But his sophomore debut was a disaster, a last-place finish in a 5-horse field.
I think I got caught up in the big picture. You know, I'm looking at the Derby, and we're trying to settle him and get him relaxed and settle him and get him relaxed and go easy. And, you know, he was really settled. Enough so he didn't partake in the race. So.
But he did partake in his last race, a strong second-place finish at Gulfstream Park. And Alan Goldberg now has a more immediate goal in mind.
Jim Beam, right now. and from there we'll see.
We agree. Jules has sparkled in his training here at Turfway Park and figures to be a gem of a Budweiser long shot. And Jules just clicked up to be 7-1 on the tote board. Whether you're the Bud long shot or the favorite, takes something to, well, get into this winner's circle. Caton, what are the keys to victory?
Well, in the Jim Beam, the 3-year-olds are not only looking to hit a high note, but they're also tuning up for 5 weeks down the road. And with our apologies to Beethoven, the keys are these. First, Concerto must stay on track in a straight line to remain competitive. Next, closers like Celtic Warrior and Jack Flash must set up the tempo. Only 3 of the last 9 Beam winners have come from more than 2 lengths off the pace. And finally, the time is now for Shammy Davis and Jules to put it all together in a command performance if they want to stay on this Triple Crown tour. Tom?
Final horses stepping into the starting gate. There is Jules. Might be compromised from that outside post position of his. Fun on the Run, the gray you see in the background going into the gate, and Concerto. Got a pretty good run here at Turfway going into the first turn. That might not be a problem, but the stretch here is extraordinarily short. It's only 970 feet. Compare that to the over 1,200 feet of Churchill Downs. You know why speed is a plus here at Turfway. The final horse, Jules, is moving into line. Field of 10 set to go in the Jim Beam, and they're off. Fun on the Run, a stutter step start for him. Concerto was off to a good beginning. The Canadian Air Cool has some early speed. Jules is there on the outside, and the blinkered Mercer Mill is up close early. Hoxie down toward the rail. Inaccessibly good right there with Jules, and Jules will be the leader, and Jose Santos sends him to the lead today. Jules in front into the clubhouse turn. Fun on the Run, the gray just in behind, and Inaccessibly Good just off the lead on the outside, running in third. Hoxie down on the rail is fourth. Concerto 3 wide fifth. Twin Spires between horses 6. Mercer Mill is 4 wide and 7th. Shammy Davis drafting in behind horses in 8th position, followed by Air Cool, the Canadian, who's 9th, and stretch running Jack Flash is at the back of the pack. Oh, a wicked first quarter, 21 4/5 seconds. Jules with a blitz down the back stretch. He opens up 3 on Inaccessibly Good. 44 3/2 mile. Can he possibly keep up this torrid pace? It is Jules in front by 3 heading into the far turn. Inaccessibly Good is running in second. Concerto is running third. He's 5 lengths behind Jules as they move into the far turn. Fun on the Run, called on for run. Shammy Davis on the outside. Jack Flash is making progress, but he's pinned down on the rail. Twin Spires in the far outside around the far turn, and it's Jules in front. They're whittling away at the lead. It's down to 1.5 lengths. Inaccessibly Good poised off his flank check second. Concerto is only 2 lengths from the lead as they approach the top of the stretch here. Farther back, Jack Flash has been taken to the outside, and Shammy Davis in with a shot, and the field turns for home. Jules couldn't keep up the pace. Inaccessibly Good is in front, and here comes Concerto. Shammy Davis looms on the outside. Jack Flash fourth in the final furlong, and Concerto going down there. Inaccessibly Good went down. He broke down in mid-stretch. Inheriting the lead is Concerto. He will win by 2 lengths. Jack Flash second, and Shammy Davis was third. Oh, what a tragedy here at Turfway Park this afternoon. Inaccessibly Good is broken down. I can report to you that jockey Chris McCarron is moving about. He is conscious, although he is in some obvious pain. He's holding his leg. Oh, this is a real tragedy here at Turfway this afternoon. But Concerto pulls up the winner. The final time for the record was 1 minute 48 1/5 seconds.
Stories working at cross purposes, the excitement of Concerto and a possible trip to the Kentucky Derby, and Bob Baffert, who's had some of the worst luck that any of us in the business have ever seen, and Chris McCarron, a trooper, a professional. We understand that he's on the track right now. There is a picture of him right now, and they are obviously trying to ease his pain, and they're going to move him by stretcher. But Inaccessibly Good broke down through the stretch drive. Concerto is the unofficial winner, and a damper on the excitement and the fun of the Jim Beam this year. We'll be back to sort out, of course, Sports Center, which is next on ESPN, will have any late developments. So stay right here as we come back to the Beam and Sports Center follows. There's Concerto, the unofficial winner of this year's Jim Beam Stakes, a 1 1/8 race which was marred by a spectacular spill in the stretch, which had Inaccessibly Good, who was in contention, breaking down in the final furlong. Let's go up to Tom Durkin. Tom, what happened?
Well, as the field approached the top of the stretch, the Inaccessibly Good is on the lead here. The horse in the red silks. He negotiates those tire tracks that had been on there. That was not the problem. Sometimes horses just break down in a moment, in an instant, and that was the case. He appeared to give no indication of any lameness at any time or any problem that way. Concerto goes on to win the race, and as I did mention, Chris was conscious of moving about, but he was in some obvious pain, and I can also report that the horse has been euthanized.
I'm here with Dr. George Munday, who's the chief veterinarian for the Kentucky Racing Commission. George, give us a report as quickly, realizing it's just happened a few minutes ago.
The horse seemed to be running really easy. I was right down front on the rail, and the horse went down, and it appeared that his right front ankle dislocated. And unfortunately, it was compound, and as you saw, the horse tried to run on, but there is absolutely nothing that could be done, and the horse has been put down.
Okay. It's just one of the things in racing.
Unfortunately, he was running easy. It looked like there was really no explanation for it, and it's very, very unfortunate.
Okay. And Chris McCarron, we understand that he was taken to the ambulance. Doctor, thanks very much. We appreciate Dr. George Munday being with us. There is Chris McCarron being loaded into the ambulance as we speak. And hopefully we'll have a report on Chris before we leave the air, but of course Sports Center right here on ESPN will update everything. And there's the winner's circle. Kinsman Stables Concerto, trained by John Tamaro III, a son of Chief's Crown, who was favored in all three legs of the Triple Crown, but never made it to the winner's circle. He was a brilliant winner of the Bluegrass. Well, his son was a brilliant winner of the Jim Beam this afternoon. We'll be back with more from Turfway after this timeout. We're back at Turfway Park in Covington, Kentucky, where the Jim Beam Stakes has just been run. Join us tomorrow here on ESPN for ATP Tennis. It's the Lipton Championship from Key Biscayne, Florida. 9 of the top 10 players on hand tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, right here on ESPN. Let's go to Caton Breda. Caton?
Well, according to preliminary reports about Chris McCarron's condition, track officials report that he appeared to have the wind knocked out of him, but did appear to be moving his arms and his legs and seemed to be in good condition. He was put on the stretcher and taken in for precautionary reasons, but the last reports we had is that it looks like he'll be okay. Dave?
That's good news. Okay, let's take a look at the official prices for this year's Jim Beam. Concerto pays $4.60, $3 and $2.40 as the favorite. Went down heavily there at in the final moments of betting. The number 7 horse Jack Flash was second at $4.20 and $3.20. Third was number 8 Shammy Davis at $6, a 6-7 exacta worth $24 even. The track was fast. Incredible fractions, 21 and 4, 44 and 3 as Jules, the Bud Longshot, who finished 4th in a good performance. Let's go to Caton now, who has a very happy guy.
Well, Carlos Marquez Jr. has good reason to be happy, Dave. Concerto stayed on track, on course, in a straight line. Probably the best performance of his career, Carlos.
Yes, he did. They changed equipment on. They put the shadow row for the first time. And I worked with him with it, and he paid a lot of attention with that shadow row they put on him today.
We're going to take a look at the action as they headed through the stretch, and a lot of activity happening. Unfortunately, Inaccessibly Good, when the horse went down, did you know, were you aware what was happening at this point in the race?
Well, my horse, I wasn't even riding it when I got to that horse, and all of a sudden I hear this clack, and I look to the inside, and I see McCarron's horse break down. And then I look to the outside, I see nobody coming, so I know I had it won.
Obviously, distance is not going to be a limitation with this horse. He seemed to be striding out and running harder at the end than earlier in the going. Does he seem to be maturing with each race for you?
Yes, he is. Today, he relaxed pretty good the first part. Like, if you look at his form, he's always been 1-2. And today, we decided to rate him a little bit because the last time I rode him, he kind of ducked out a little bit. And we wanted horses to run at, and he responded pretty good today.
I would say he responded quite well indeed. And we'll go now to Tom Durkin.
The splits for the race were very fast. It should be noted that as fast as the track was today, the jockeys were talking that it was a good surface to race over this afternoon. Blistering time early, a 44 3/2. The Jules obviously could not keep up that pace going 1 1/8 this afternoon. The final time was 1:48 and 1. And let's take a look at the full order of finish. Of course, Concerto was the winner. Jack Flash finishing second. Chamois Davis, the Zito horses, running second and third. Jules finishing fourth after those blistering fractions. And the other horses, I'm afraid, as far as the Triple Crown is concerned, not for them. Dave?
I'm here with the happy owner and trainer of Concerto, the boss, George Steinbrenner, the owner, John Tamaro III, who did a brilliant job of conditioning him. Well, let's watch a little bit of it. And, George, how did you feel this afternoon? What a year you've had.
I hope it continues.
I hope so, too.
Continues through the first Saturday in May and then on.
That's obviously in the cards, then.
I don't know. It's up to John and my son, Hank, and Mike, who is our trainer at the farm. Hank will make those decisions working with the other two.
So you can move that Yankee trophy over a little bit for the Triple Crown trophy?
We'd move it over for this one. This is a great win and a great race. They do a wonderful job here, and the best part about it, Davey, is that he kept the horse here, see, and he ran the Battaglia, which was smart. He had a race over this track. We came here once before and lost by a neck 10 or 15 years ago.
That was the first horse ever to win the Battaglia and the Jim Beam. Here's the guy who trains him, John Tamaro. What kind of a horse is he?
Oh, he's a good horse.
Yeah. Around the barn, personality.
He's excellent to work with.
What's next?
Well, I just heard Mr. Steinbrenner say something about the first Saturday in May, so we're going to consider that.
That's 5 weeks from now. We'll be watching to see if you run him again, though. No decision right now.
No, not right now.
Okay. George Steinbrenner, John Tamaro III, the owner and trainer of Concerto, the official winner of the Beam 1997. More from Turfway coming up after this. Stay with us. Thrifty Car Rental, racing across America. Today's coverage of the Jim Beam Stakes has been brought to you by Thrifty Car Rental. Best of all, it's thrifty. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. By Brewery Fresh Budweiser, who reminds you fresh beer tastes better. By Wittnauer Watches, the perfect balance of hand craftsmanship and advanced technology. Wittnauer, the watchmaker's watch. And by DoubleTree Hotels and Guest Suites with over 200 locations worldwide. Call 1-800-222-TREE. Ground transportation provided by Thrifty Car Rental. For reservations at over 1,100 locations worldwide, call Thrifty at 1-800-4CARS. Air transportation provided by Western Pacific Airlines with super low fares from coast to coast. This winter, take Westpac to the max. Mountain Air Express with direct flights to the finest Colorado ski resorts. Stay tuned for SportsCenter next on ESPN for all the latest sports news from around the country. It's SportsCenter right here on ESPN. It's happened to all of us. Been at a sporting event, something terrible happens, but there's nothing we can do about it.
The nature of the sport that in one instant, in 1 second, every trainer's nightmare and every trainer's dream can be realized. It's important to keep the race in perspective. No one wants to win this way. This is but one race on the road to the Triple Crown and the greatest glory of all. So for some of these trainers, they've taken a step forward and obviously a tragic setback for others. But I think you have to keep in mind that some of these horses are going to continue to move forward and look for bigger things down the line.
For Tom Durkin's perspective, we'll go to the top of the stakes. Tom?
Well, it's obviously a little bit difficult to talk about, the horses that came out of the race, and we'll be looking forward to brighter days. It's one of those things kind of reminds me of Go for Juan, that tragic day at Belmont Park, Breeders' Cup Day in 1990. You just have to put the race behind you and go on to the next one. Okay.
But take nothing away from Concerto. That was some victory this afternoon. You know, Kate, and I read that they're going to be selling some paintings of some great racehorses at historic Sotheby's auction house in the next few weeks. Can you imagine the millions that Concerto would bring if you put a racehorse who was going to the Derby on the auction block?
No question about it, but well worth it if the horse gets the job done.
Okay. Anyway, thanks for being with us. And Concerto moves on down the road to Louisville, Kentucky. Next stop for us, Thrifty Car Rental racing across America. Oaklawn Park and the Oaklawn Handicap will continue our coverage of the 3-year-old pre-race Derby.